25th, 2016 of the meeting of the Coolidge City Council to order, and ask that the invocation be done by Elder Paul Roloff of the Christian Lutheran Church, and after that, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Elder?
Before we begin, I would like to thank you people for fixing Northern and Coolidge. I live near there, and I help out at the high school with the robotics teams 5-6 days a week, and I drive that road, and my little car was shaking apart. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Let us pray. Dear Lord God, gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can gather in this fine city, that we live in this fine city, and I especially thank you for these fine people that have come here this evening, the people who are in elected positions that serve our community, and those in fire and police that protect us as citizens. And I would ask at this time that you would guide our hearts and our minds, that all we say and all we do is according to your will and pleasing to you. And I ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Elder.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Norma, call the roll, please.
Okay. Councilmember Gilbert Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Hudson.
Here.
Councilmember Robert Huddleston.
Here.
Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jackie Henry. Here. Councilmember Gary Lewis.
Here.
And Councilmember Tatiana Murrieta.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Under our first item number 4 under presentations is Employee of the Quarter, Matt Mayo. And I'd like to get the council, let's go down and congratulate him. The letter's down there.
Yes, it is, Mayor. Right on that table.
Fireman Mayo. I'm going to read this. Come on up, please. The employee of the quarter is Matt Mayo. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate you for being selected as the City of Coolidge Employee of the Quarter for the final quarter of 2015. Your nomination is the result of numerous acts of valor. On 2 occasions, you put yourself in harm's way to rescue 3 individuals from bee attacks. As an encore, you also crawled underneath a burning trailer, negotiating through contaminated water to save a blind puppy. These are just a few examples of how your commitment to excellence shine through on a daily basis. The City of Coolidge is proud to count on you as one of their own. The citizens of Coolidge sleep well at night knowing you are on the job. Matt, on behalf of the City Council and staff, I would like to thank you for your efforts that go above and beyond the call of duty. We are fortunate to have an employee of your caliber and dedication. Once again, thank you for a job well done.
Good job. Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Ven, me queda.
Item number 5, monthly report and business spotlight recognitions by the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce. Oh, there she is. Hi, welcome, Lynn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I don't have a spotlight for tonight, but I'd like to tell you about an event that happened here today in Coolidge. The Pinal museums all met here in Coolidge at the Women's Club, and it was a great turnout. So they visited both of our museums, the one at the Artisan Village and at the Historical Society down on Harding. And if I can let him come up and invite you to the museum instead of my spotlight, is that okay?
Certainly.
He's the president of the Historical Society. Tony.
Evening, folks. My name is Tony Starn. Some of you already know that. And I am currently the president of the Coolidge Historical Society. I came down tonight just to give a personal invitation to all of you to come down and see the museums. Anytime, whenever's convenient, just get hold of us and we'll open the place up. But if you could, please try to make it down. We've made some changes and we're making more changes. We'd like you to see it. Would appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
But it was a great turnout to have the different curators and people involved in all the museums in Pinal County coming here and looking at our stuff, and they were very pleased. Now on to our renewals. Resolution Copper Mining, State Farm Insurance, Great Western Bank, Chandler Jennings, Sun Corridor Planning Organization, Knights of Columbus, Title Security Agency of Pinal County, Barnett's Better Buy, Sun Life Health Center, Moeller Magic, Coolidge Cleaners, M&S Equipment, Gilbert Lopez, Council Member, Greek Island Grill, Bob Flatley, City Manager, River Co-op Gin, and Banner Casagrande Medical Center. 2 new members are Pinal Hispanic Council and Jugs and Strokers. Our for October, and no, this would be November. Our webpage hits are at 170,509. Our walk-ins were huge, 730 versus 297 last year. Phone calls are down a little bit, 245. We had no relocation packets. Top states were Washington and California, and top foreign country is Canada. The Casagrande Ruins had, for the month of October is the number I have, 4,489, and year-to-date is 62,658. We did have a CEDC meeting tomorrow, and that's going to be canceled. The library has a home brewing 101 on the 26th. Hohokam has a craft show on the 30th. The library also has Raising Goats on the 30th. There's a glass workshop at the Artisan Village, along with painting techniques, and Jimmy Dell and the Performing Arts on January 30th. February 4th, we have Breakfast with the Mayor, and February 6th, we have Valentine's cookies being taught at the Artisan Village, and on February 12th, Dolan Ellis will be playing at the Performing Arts.
Is that it?
That's it for now. Did you have a question?
What did you say the library is doing?
They have Home Brewing 101 on the 26th. Yes, that's... And the other one would be Raising Goats on the 30th.
That's what we thought you said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lynn. We appreciate it. Next on the agenda is item 6, monthly report by the Coolidge Youth Coalition. Welcome.
Whoops. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Sharon Boyd, and I'm the Director of the Drug-Free Communities Program for the Coolidge Youth Coalition. With me tonight is Mandy Alexander, our project coordinator. First of all, I would like to fill you in on some projects and activities that CYC is working on. First, our CYC youth group, Coolidge Pride, is honored to partner with the City of Coolidge Youth Council on a distracted driving campaign funded by Simpatico. This will be a sustainable strategy that our Coolidge seniors can be so proud of, to leave a legacy of their efforts to keep our youth in Coolidge safe and informed on the many dangers of distracted driving. Mandy will be telling you more about this in her presentation. It is that time of year that CYC is thinking and working toward our annual Safe and Sober Grad Night for all Coolidge High School seniors, and this year, for the first time, all Imagine Prep seniors. We realize that our seniors are coming up on some lifetime celebratory memory-making times, such as prom and graduation, And it has always been CYC's mission to make sure these times are as safe as possible for our graduates. CYC is also planning a prom DUI reenactment sometime in March, April to coincide with our Coolidge High School prom. This is a full-blown DUI crash reenactment along with medevac, helicopters, ambulances, police, and fire participation. As the time gets closer, we will blast out the time and place, and we would invite all of our city leaders to attend. It is crucial for our youth and families to realize the inherent dangers surrounding the prom and graduation season, and it is all of our responsibility to keep our youth in Coolidge safe. CYC has also been asked to partner with the Country Thunder organization on the Country Thunder 2016 music event, which now has over 100,000 youth adults in attendance at this 4-day festival in Florence, Arizona. Historically, this event has been and has seen a lot of underage binge drinking. The Pinal County Sheriff's Office does a tremendous job providing security, and we are honored to be able to partner with Country Thunder and PCSO to provide continuous running public service announcements, a public service prevention booth, and material and incentives, and a CYC tagline on all parking passes, RV passes, gate passes, and other printed material being given out for this festival. Our tagline reads, and we only got one line here, so it is, "Save a life, stop underage drinking." The PSAs will feature some of our Coolidge Pride youth and hopefully some of our Pinal County champions, like Lando Voiles, etc., to let our youth and parents know the extreme danger of underage drinking and binge drinking, like alcohol poisoning, assault, STDs, violence, and driving while impaired. Stay tuned for our blast outs about this exciting opportunity to keep our Pinal County, Arizona, and youth worldwide safe at this event. And lastly, I want to talk to you about some grants I'm working on with Mandy's help for CYC. We are currently writing a Safe Sidewalks grant to fill in the sidewalk gaps in front of Coolidge High School on Northern Avenue, which is 450 square feet of sidewalk, and then to also bridge a gap in the sidewalk down 9th Street to Elizabeth Ranch, which is 1,100 feet of sidewalk. Approximately 6,000 of our Coolidge kids walk this stretch to get to kids camp and also to our open swim at our Coolidge City Pool. We would like for our youth and families to have continuous and contiguous sidewalks on these stretches, because gaps in these sidewalks make it riskier for our kids to trip, fall, or have accidents on bikes, skateboards, and such. Our studies show that a site with a paved sidewalk, being a crash site, is 88% lower than a site without sidewalks. I would like to give a huge thank you to Ms. Susanna Struble and Ricky Lapaya, our CYC president and my boss, for all of their help with this. I could not have figured out cubic yards of concrete, curb and gutters, ADA ramps, or anything like that without their help. And lastly, I would like to tell you that CYC will be offering for both our youth and families training on depression and suicide. Our local data shows us that we have youth that are clinically depressed, some having suicidal thoughts. These are not the youth that one might think would fall into depression due to socioeconomic conditions, economic hardships, broken homes, and possible mental health problems. Some of these youth are our high-achieving youth, our superstars, if you will, that feel pressured to be everything, do everything, be everywhere, maintain 4.0 GPAs, and never come up for air. CYC is partnering with Simpatico to bring in licensed professional counselors and trainings to help our youth and families dealing with this issue with some community training. So we will be blasting that out, and we would hope that you would attend this training if you are interested. Thank you for your time tonight. CYC always comes before this council with an attitude of gratitude, and tonight is no exception. We appreciate your support, your collaboration, and your help. CYC will continue to be advocates for our youth and families, and we feel lucky to have the City of Coolidge as one of our partners. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now here's Mandy.
Right. Mayor and council members, I'm excited to tell you in further detail about our distracted driving campaign with our CYC Coolidge Pride kids and the City of Coolidge Youth Council kids. Each year there are approximately 424,000 distracted driving accidents. Of these distracted driving accidents, it is our younger drivers who make up 27% of all fatal crashes. I'm working with both groups to try to coordinate the citywide campaign addressing the risks and severe consequences of distracted driving. The first project they had was to create a distracted driving logo, and we encourage you to go check this out on our CYC Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. There will also be printed materials distributed throughout both Coolidge High School and Imagine Prep, as well as businesses around Coolidge to remind drivers not to be distracted while behind the wheel. CYC Coolidge Pride and City of Coolidge Youth Council members have also made a couple different PSAs. CYC is working with the City of Coolidge webmaster to push their message out on Channel 11. All students involved in the project have signed an I Pledge certificate, not to be distracted while driving, which in the video, the kids are holding up their certificate, and at the end it encourages you all to not be distracted while driving as well. So be looking for that, but it's not out yet. So, and then on Saturday, January 16th, we filmed another PSA, which includes a mock situation of distracted driving. 2 of the students have taken the lead initiative to edit this video, which they are currently in the process of, so stay tuned as well for that on that PSA. For our grad night update, I am currently reaching out to a couple different venues, one of them being Flipside Entertainment in Gilbert. That's the location that we used last year. And then I'm also going to reach out to Main Event Entertainment in Tempe to see what they can give us, as well as the location, or if they can give us anything. CYC is looking forward to sponsoring both grad nights for Coolidge High School and Imagine Prep seniors. As Sharon has said, we're actually in the process of collaborating with our law enforcement partners to coordinate CYC's biannual prom DUI reenactment. So I am working on that. And then I'm having our CYC Coolidge Pride kids participate in the National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week. So just be watching our social media on the different projects that I'm doing with the kids. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon and Amanda. You guys are doing a good job over there. Next item on the agenda is call to the public. This is an item where if you need to address the council, you have 3 to 5 minutes to come to the podium. Please state your name and your address, and then just tell us what's on your mind. And I would tell you that we can't respond, but we can certainly listen. So if there's anybody in the audience that has anything they want to address us on, now's the time to step up.
My name is Bill Llewellyn, and I'm the owner of AC Sanitation, and I know there's some stuff you guys are going to discuss towards the end of the meeting, but I thought, well, I'll jump up here while I'm here. The fees that you're proposing, I just wanted to talk about a little bit, because being a small business guy, it's going to really affect the amount of business that a small business can do here in Coolidge. You know, there's fees of a $500 a year fee for being here in the city, and then there's a proposal, I believe, from $1,000 to $3,000 per truck. And to be a small business guy, like I have a couple customers here in Coolidge right now, and if you're looking at those fees, there's no way that I can compete in the city or give the business people, you know, an opportunity to have another choice and possibly cheaper and better service. I mean, I've been approached by one person, Mr. Garrett, that has a Chevrolet dealership. We've done business with him for many years. And he asked if I could do it, and I said, well, I'd love to, but you try to run into business, you try to do it as cheap as you can so you can make a profit. Well, I have, like the bakery here in town I've been picking up for quite some time, and I have 2 different trucks that come in here through this area on 2 different days. So if it's a $1,000 to $3,000 fee for a truck, I mean, I can't do business. That's more profit than I make out of the whole works here in the city. So I just would like you to consider, thinking about that, because it's initially, I thought when the state changed the law where they took the cities that were under 60,000 in population and opened it up to the general public to haul waste, that it was for competition and provide better service, and it would make it better all around for the people here. For me to compete now, I would probably have to raise my rates, which is basically, to me, would be a tax on the people that are doing business here in town. And it's hard enough nowadays to make a profit as it is, and like I said, it's just, if you're an established business here, it wouldn't be as big a deal because you have more income coming in, and the fees wouldn't be probably as much. But if you're trying to be a small business or a new business to start up, you couldn't do it. So I just wanted you to think about it a little bit, and that's what I came for, and hopefully we can get something worked out where everybody will be happy. All right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay. I'm not seeing anybody approach. We're going to go ahead and go to business items for consent. These are items that we will take one general vote on. I don't see any. Okay, this will all be a voice vote. Is there anybody that wants to pull an item off the agenda of the business items of consent?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can we pull agenda item number 7 because I'm the applicant for the liquor license so that you guys can vote on it?
Okay. That's it, then. We'll start off with number 8. Consider approval of entering into a subrecipient agreement number 150314-01 between the Arizona Department of Homeland Security and the City of Coolidge Police Department for 2015 Homeland Security grant funding in the amount of $126,621 for Operation Stone Garden details, and approve the expenditure of said funds. Item 9, consider approval of entering into subrecipient agreement number 150314-02 between the Arizona Department of Homeland Security and the City of Coolidge Police Department for 2015 Homeland Security grant funding in the amount of $34,699 for Operation Stone Garden equipment, and approve the expenditure of said funds. Item 10, consider approval of purchasing 29 units of AEGIS law enforcement mobile unit software, hardware, and required licensing that would provide automatic vehicle locators and mapping in 29 patrol vehicles in the amount of $24,760 using RICO funds. And item number 11, consider approval of entering into a contract and addendum to contract between the City of Coolidge and Casa Grande Valley newspapers for advertising services. Okay, is there
Motion to approve is read.
motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item number 7, consider approval of a special event liquor license application submitted by Mr. Steve Hudson for the St. James Catholic Church located at 401 West Wilson Avenue, Coolidge, Arizona, for their annual St. James Festival being held on Sunday, February 14th, 2016. Okay. Is there, if there's no,
To approve item number 7.
Second.
okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries.
Good job.
Now I need to move out out of this into a public hearing, right? So we need to move out of a general session, of our general session.
You just called the public meeting to
Okay,
order.
I'm just going to call this public hearing on item number 12. To receive public comments on the portion of land located in all blocks A, B, C, 43, 44, 45, 52, and 53 of Randolph, Arizona, accepting therefrom lots 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, and 28, Block 53, and also including all adjacent right-of-way for alleys or roadways, and also including a tract of land bounded on the south by the south row line of Randolph Avenue, bounded on the west by the east row line of Fifth Avenue, bounded on the east by the Southern Pacific Railroad, and bounded on the north by the north row line of D Street, excepting therefrom any portion currently within the corporate city limits of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, comprising an area of 27 acres, more or less, known as the TGF property Stinger annexation. Okay, if there's anybody here that wants to speak to, do you want to make a comment before we, or?
Sure.
Go ahead.
On behalf of Mr. Miller, I'm taking this item. He's not feeling well this evening. This is an annexation request that was made by the property owner. Stinger has come to us and wanted to add this land into the corporate limits of the city of Coolidge. If you look at the map that's being shown on the overhead, the grade or shadowy area that is a little blue or gray tint is the corporate boundaries already. The red area is the area that is the proposed annexation. If you look, Arizona Boulevard is the road going down in front of or to the right of that large building. The original Stinger complex is still in the county. It is not in the city limits of Coolidge. So this is the land adjacent to where they're putting in a lot of their outdoor facilities. And as I said, this is a request they made to us. Growth management staff has filed all the documents appropriate with the county, and this is the opportunity for the public to have any comment regarding this potential annexation. At this point, because it is a one owner annexation, we would be bringing this back for council direction in late February.
Okay, thank you. And this is, again, a public hearing. I see Sergeant Moore and some people out there. If you have anything to say regarding this annexation, please step forward. We're clear on the boundaries. I was out there with Mr. Miller last week, and I know there's one that runs right down, and I think it's in front of Pastor White's, right across from, I see him. Go ahead. Yes, sir?
Yes. My name is Harvey Rushing. I'm my only concern about that, I live right there about 15 feet from what they're doing there, and the roads that they have down there, I've witnessed them tear them up, actually been outside where they're torn them up, and they repair the roads that benefit themselves, but the other roads that they have torn up, they won't repair them. That's my only concern. I have no problem with them annexing from the county to the city, but I think they need to repair their roads. Even my vehicles, I've had to here recently put front end alignments on them. All the entrances in the little town, there are potholes everywhere, and their machinery is tearing them up. That's my only concern about that is the roads.
Okay. Mr. Rushing.
I've witnessed a truck with a big I-beam. I was outside with my uncle there, Mr. Moore, and I witnessed the beam falling off, a big hole in the road. They sent the county with some inmates out right away to repair it, but they patched it, and they patched it twice, and it's not doing any good. So I think the roads, they need to repair the roads, and all the dips and potholes and stuff that the machinery has
Okay,
put holes in. That's my only concern.
Okay, yeah, because I've
Thank you.
noticed that, thank you, Harvey, thank you, Mr. Rushing. I noticed that the roads that run north and south are running into the road that, half of the road, I guess, we're annexing, and if it turns out that we vote that way. And I don't know what, if anything, the construction and the way they've constructed it is going to have an impact on their drainage. Because I've heard that before. Even Mr. Miller mentioned that there were some issues with the roads now that Stinger's come in and done what they've done. So I think that's an issue. That's county, but maybe we need to relay that to the county.
Okay.
See what we can do.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? All right. Not seeing anybody. I guess we need to get out of the public hearing.
Close that part.
I need to close the public hearing. It's closed. Move back into business, regular items. Item number 13, accept a statement of qualifications submitted for the RFQ issued for engineering services for Palo Verde Avenue Sidewalk Project, Arizona Avenue to the 4th Street, and approval of professional service agreement with Intellis, Inc. All right, who's that? Is that?
That is mine,
That's
Mr.
yours?
Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, this evening we do have before you information regarding a statement of qualifications that was issued for an engineering firm to design sidewalks between Arizona Boulevard and Palo Verde Avenue. You might realize in front of or on Palo Verde, adjacent to the police department and the no longer used gas station across the street. There is some sidewalks. The sidewalks for the police department do not carry all the way along the edge of the property, nor do the sidewalks on the north side of Palo Verde carry all the way to the transit facility. We were fortunate in receiving funding from the Arizona Department of Transportation through our transit grant to be able to have sidewalks designed and funding for construction so that we have an ADA accessible route from Arizona Boulevard to the transit facility. During our good weather times, we do have people that are walking or transporting themselves from the boulevard to the facility to get on the buses. During the summertime, not as much, but we did go out to bid. We did post in the newspaper the request for statement of qualifications. We sent out, if my memory serves me, about 6 packets. We had 2 firms actually submit bids, Intellis and I can't remember, Little John. We did have a review committee that reviewed the proposals and ranked and scored statements of qualifications. You do not ask about price first. You ask about skills and ability to do the job. Those were scored. On the scoring, Intellis came out as the highest scored entity, and staff has been working with them to negotiate a price. Again, as I shared, we do have funding for the design of the sidewalks and construction. And staff is recommending that council award the bid to Intellis and approve the professional services agreement with Intellis for an amount not to exceed as outlined in their proposal. So it is a 2-stage proposal. They have engineering and design services, a little over $34,000, with an allowance category up to $27,000. Allowances include, in some cases, copies and large materials that they made, but more importantly, there's some testing in the allowances, potholing to determine the soils and where utilities are, but also in that allowance provision is compliance with Davis-Bacon wage rates. This is a federal grant. We must comply with all federal overlay statutes, and they've proposed $27,000 and change for those allowances and reimbursable expenses up to $4,000. Staff did identify with the attached budgets that we do have the funding in the transit grant for this. It is 90-10 match ratio on the grant, so 90% of it is coming from the federal government, 10% from the city of Coolidge. Staff is happy to answer any questions, but we do recommend entering into contract for this program.
Well, that was certainly an extensive, for one item, there's a lot of amendments and addendums and a lot of add-ons, and now the Davis-Bacon's involved. That's going to be quite a project. Do you guys have anything down here you want to? No. Down here? Okay, then, if hearing nothing, is need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Resolution number 16-01, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, amending the solid waste fee schedule, Exhibit A to Chapter 21 of the Code of the City of Coolidge, Arizona, to set fees for business collecting commercial solid waste generated in the city. Susanna?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Before you tonight is the final step of the process of changing to more than one commercial hauler. As you recall, back in November, we presented to you in a work session that our contract with RAD would be no longer valid on February the 1st, and we would now be required to put into place a mechanism by which we could allow more than one hauler in the community. We, at our December 14th meeting, we did revise our solid waste ordinance, I think chapter 21 of our city code, to accommodate that. And tonight we are looking to actually set the fee for the permitting of those commercial haulers. So this resolution is basically there to do that. Back in November when we presented this to you, we presented several different, I guess, cities and where they were at. This is the fees we're proposing in front of you tonight is $300 for an application fee, and then it would be $1,500 annually, not based upon a vehicle. So it would just be $1,500 per supplier or permittee, not based upon each one of their vehicles. So that is what we're proposing for you. That is what the resolution is written as. What we do estimate is there are 4 or 5 haulers here in town. RAD is probably going to be the largest hauler because they've been serving us for quite some time, but in their current agreement with us, they are giving us about $6,000 a year to do something very similar as this as a part of what we considered a franchise fee, and it was based off of, I think, a 2% value of their clientele. So their 2% value of what they were getting was about $6,000 worth of fees that we were getting out of their franchise fee. So I'm here to answer any questions. I know the gentleman in the call the public spoke, and I have spoken to him already. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, this time I'm going to start down here. Tatiana, you have anything? Councilmember Lou?
Yes, the gentleman that was here that spoke and called the public, was he operating during the time we had the agreement with RAD as well?
Yes, he was.
And did he? What were his fees at that time?
I don't know what his fees were. He was not authorized to do service within the community, and he did pick up several clients during our RAD arrangement. He had been notified of that, or the owner that had been using them had been notified of that, and he chose to continue to pursue that service.
So he was operating pretty much without permission by the city?
Correct.
So in that case, he didn't have to provide proof of insurance or any documentation that we would necessarily require in case one of these operators ran over somebody and the city can be sued.
Correct.
Thank you. Well, I mean, that's a question for our legal counsel, but if you haven't provided proof of insurance and that type of thing, if you don't have any and you run over somebody, the city would be liable if we require that, would it not be?
Well,
your best guess.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I mean, it would depend on if they were openly and operating, and we didn't try to police our own rules and regulations, and I think that's what we're trying to do by the new code that we've developed and things like that. But I assume that at least have, insurance on their trucks and things like that. But if they didn't, and they were allowed to operate, it would be a stretch, but I can see somebody trying to hold the city liable for it. But I think that'd still be a very stretch. I don't think that's something that, there's people that come in and out of our city all the time. It's pretty difficult for us to police everybody.
Okay. One more.
Yeah, it was just got to finish up real quick. Did we previously have anything in place that would have kept that gentleman from operating, I guess, legally or officially?
Let me take it. The statute changed. In the old days, we were able to do one commercial, a license agreement with one hauler, and that's what we did, and that operated for a long time. And then the state legislature came in and changed the statute several years ago, actually, but allowed these contracts to stay in place until they got to the end. Our contract finally got to the end, and so that opened up competition in the city.
Okay, what I'm trying to establish is before we decide on whether or not we're going to go with the new fees and stuff, the gentleman that had concerns about being able to continue his business, in the previous setup, was he justified in doing his business in town? So if we decide to do this and it ruined his business, is it something we're stepping on the little guy, or is it something where he shouldn't have been here in the first place because he wasn't following the rules like everybody else? That's what I'm trying to establish, to make sure we're not stepping on a small business person who is doing legitimate business, or is he in the city kind of just backdooring a little bit, doing business here and there where he could get it? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Lewis, we don't know what his thought process is. We don't. Mr. Llewellyn's been doing business for a long time, so I'm not going to cast any dispersions against him. A lot of people probably thought when the statute changed that they could come right in and start competing, although I'm not sure that's the way the statute was written. I think that it was pretty clear based on the statute that if a city did have a contract, that contract was allowed to expire on its own terms. But I'm not sure all the haulers, followed it close enough, so I don't want to cast any dispersions at all. I mean, cities have a right to adopt the code, which you've already adopted. Cities have a right to adopt a permit, an application fee, and a permit fee. Some cities, in things like this, charge 2% of gross revenues, or $1,000 a truck, or $2,000 a truck. I mean, it just depends on which city you're at, whichever is higher between the two. So I don't think our fees, I think you're seeing a lot of cities go to this type of system.
So the new legislation pretty much just says you can't limit yourself to one provider. You have to bring them up and you just charge a fee, like what we're proposing to do. Okay. I think my question's been answered, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess my question, or my concern is, if we're charging the same amount for a smaller business, I don't know if we can, have a different fee, like, for smaller businesses as opposed to the larger businesses. Because he said that he's a small business where RAD is a large business, and there are other large businesses out there that pick up trash. Can that be done?
Volume-based fee, maybe?
Yeah.
I think the potential issue sometimes, because we go on a volume base, is trying to police that and figure out exactly, what's the way to do that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I've seen something that was, not that I've seen them all. I've just seen some of them. I don't think I've seen a volume base. Have you? Where
Well, nothing
I've
other
seen
than
2% of gross
the percentage of the gross revenues
Yeah, I've
is
seen
the
that.
only,
Right.
yeah. And then per vehicle, and we've decided to even back off on the per vehicle and just go as an annual fee at the $1,500 versus doing it per vehicle, which we were setting at $1,000 to $3,000 per vehicle. So we kind of split the middle there and went just $1,500 annual. Didn't matter the number of vehicles that you were supplying or utilizing.
And I guess it's important to remember, and I think everybody up here really respects small businesses, but when they changed the law and we had to readjust, how much money were we getting from the commercial haulers? I mean, what are we looking at losing if we don't do anything here?
We were getting approximately $6,000 a year. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. And it sounds like you've already made a few compromises since this came out. Okay.
Right. When we posted it on the website, we posted it as annual fees between $300 and $500, and then a hauler permit fee, annual fee between $1,000 and $3,000 per vehicle. So one of the adjustments was to go to the $300 as the lowest annual fee from that posting, and then instead of being a per vehicle, we just went to $1,500 as an annual fee.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Lopez?
Thank you, Mayor. So there's no, $1,500 for permit fee provided, $1,500 for annual review. So it's just $300 plus the $1,500.
Correct.
And that's it. There's no per vehicle.
I took that out.
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was just reading through. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
That's better.
Councilman Rutson?
Yeah, Susanna, you made a statement that you said that this guy from Arizona City has two businesses, I guess the bread company and evidently Garrett Motors, that he's been picking up trash illegally. Is that right?
My understanding is that when we moved over to commercial establishments, anybody that had an ongoing contract would stay there. Once that contract was over, they were to convert to RAD. That was what the requirement of our commercial transition was in the past. I'm not aware of that Garrett had, and these guys, and I don't know when they picked them up. What I do know is that the bread company, they picked up the bread company before. They've been new since we've converted to commercial. This business was advised of the fact that they needed to move to RAD, that they weren't allowed to do that. I have advised him on other areas as well where he has backed out, and we've been asked by RAD to continue to control that a little better than what we had in the past. So we were asked to kind of back down on a couple other contracts that he was signing when we had this other arrangement in place with RAD, which he did. I'm only aware of actually the one, which is the one for the bread company, and if Garrett's is doing it as well, that would be another one, but I don't know the timing of the Garrett's property.
Well, the contract with RAD was done, 5, 6, 7 years ago?
2008.
Yeah.
So the bread company's been in business 3 years, maybe?
Correct. And this is the confusion, as Mr. Fitzgibbons identified, when the statute changed. There's been quite a bit of interpretation. Our attorneys have advised us that it was in effect, and they read the statute that our sole source agreement for commercial should have been honored, but there were several companies, this is not the only company, that continued to have contracts with businesses that were not following what the city of Coolidge had selected as a commercial supplier.
Well, she just said that when the contract expired, let's just say Garrett Motors. Let's say Garrett Motors had a contract with the Arizona City company. She just said that when the contract expired, they had to go with RAD. How do they know when that contract expired and if it did expire?
That's the big question, right?
And RAD would do research as to, we would go through and look at the names of the businesses that RAD says they were collecting from or they had contracts with, and then letters were sent to those businesses to advise them that the transfer should occur to RAD. Some made that transfer upon expiration of the contract because we didn't have privy to those contract dates. Some did not.
Yeah, but I mean, RAD doesn't know when the contract between any other hauler and any other business, when it expires.
Right.
Correct.
And so to me, I mean, if I have a company like RAD that's doing the contract, I would like to have a copy of the contract. I mean, we are the city of Coolidge, and their business is in the city of Coolidge. And I mean, we're voting on things that have to do for the city of Coolidge that has to do with businesses. So why wouldn't we get a copy of a contract for the business on the ones that did not have RAD, so that we knew when the contract was to expire?
I think those are great questions, but a lot of times I think it could be too whether they'd give it to us. I mean, and a lot of times if we didn't ask and didn't get them, I mean, it's tough to go in and try to say somebody's not following the statute when you don't know what the terms of those contracts are. I mean,
well, you could at least get a copy of the contract date and when it expires. If you're responsible, like we had a contract with RAD, and we were the ones that did that contract. Is that correct? Okay.
We had a contract for all commercial services to go through RAD.
That's correct.
Yes.
And so now when let's say we open it up, let's say there's 5 or 6 or 7 different people coming in to do this. And as being a council member, just like what Mayor Thompson said, I would like to make sure that each one of them had enough insurance, that the trucks that they're running in this town aren't just put together with baling wire. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of, and you just said that it's very slim possibility that they would sue the city of Coolidge, but we are letting these companies come in and have trucks that can run over a car, mm-hmm. hit a car, do damage to a gas meter, whatever the situation is, and they can say, well, my brakes failed. Well, how do we know that those trucks are in proper running condition? You know, it seems like you say there's hardly any liability out here. To me, if I was suing somebody, I would make sure that everybody's included in it. The company from the waste disposal, the city of Coolidge, the business that he's picking the trash up from. I mean, you know as well as I do, Dennis, they throw everybody underneath the bus when you go to sue them.
And that's why we have the permit process. I mean, that's why we want them to come in and fill out an application and then us issue a permit, so we have all that information.
And if you say that they're here, they were picking up trash that they weren't supposed to be picking up, we as the city of Coolidge should have stopped it. And we as the city of Coolidge could have stopped it, but we just didn't do it. So now you have a business that had been picking up trash that you say he wasn't supposed to be picking up the trash, but we don't know what the contract is the day that the contract expires. So we really don't know if he's coming in here illegally or not. And it just happens to be a small business. I mean, why did you change it from a 2% to a fee if all along with RAD it's 2% or the fee, whichever's highest? So if this guy's only taking care of two businesses, why don't we go back to the 2% of his revenues that's generated out of the city of Coolidge instead of charging him a fee that might be more than the 2% revenue? I don't know. It doesn't seem fair to a small business when you have something like Waste Management that they can sit there and fund a $1 million golf tournament up in Scottsdale, but a little guy's trying to make a living every day to feed his family and just survive, charging him something that the same company that runs probably 100 or 200 trucks in the state of Arizona gets charged the same fee for. Anyways, I've said enough.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Well, and I'm assuming that you talked to the gentleman that was here earlier and spoke and corrected him, because his impression was he paid $1,500 per truck, correct?
I did explain to him it was $1,500 annually. It was not per truck. I did explain that to him.
So it's $1,800.
Correct.
So if it's a big company, that's no problem. They get as many trucks as they want for $1,800. And a small company, they have $1,800 still for one truck. Isn't there any way that we can fix that? Can we not charge a percentage after they make their money so we can give them an opportunity to start up? I mean, surely we could come up with something.
Right, no, absolutely, Counselor. I mean, if you don't like the way the fee's set up, I mean, it's your decision on how to do it. We can modify it. However council wants to do it.
Right, Elise? I mean,
And the contract expires, we're supposed to have a new contract in place by February 1st. So we got a 10-day window.
And I guess
the
my
hauler
question would
permits
be is, how do you know, what they're making?
It corrects.
I mean.
Well, we've done it with RAD.
Not to say that private.
We're charging RAD 2% right now of his revenue, is that correct?
And it's correct, council member.
How do we know what he's charging?
It's quite easy when you are supposed to make that transition to all the commercial. We could be talking 8 different companies coming in here, having to file paperwork that identifies what their sales are. Then we calculate the 2%. Staff was proposing something that they thought was simple to administer and equitable across the board. If you do want to go with a 2%, a 1%, we'll have to figure out how that could be structured, what they have to report to us so that we can calculate that. The concept when we went to the commercial hauling with RAD years ago was that the transition would occur for everyone. However, we know that did not happen because there were some individuals that had long-term contracts or large chains that contract with certain entities, and they're wrapped in, and examples are the Walmarts and the Safeways and the Walgreens. They have contracts with certain haulers nationwide or regional wide, that type of thing. So staff would have to take a step back and figure out how to calculate that, but if that is council's wish, that's something we're more than happy to accommodate.
Well, that might be something, to me, they're using our roads, and we're sitting up here. We just had an hour thing on the budget trying to figure out how to pay for our roads. And so, when I look at something like $300, it'd be $1,800 for the whole thing, but $300 is, would that pay for the wear and tear on our roads? But if it's the council's wish that we look at something a little more complicated, and again, I was mentioning, when you're in business by yourself, sometimes I don't know, well, I just am concerned about how we're going to know what the true revenue is. But,
Well,
we've
been accepting it now from RAD. I mean,
well, yeah.
and the point I'm trying to make is you got a guy that is getting charged the same amount of money. Let's say he has 2 trucks. And here's a guy that's got 25 trucks. So you're charging both of them the same fee.
Mm-hmm.
One guy's picking up 2 trash cans and the other guy's picking up 22 trash cans. How is that fair?
But are all 25 trucks coming into the city at the same time? How do we know how many trucks RAD's sending in? It could be 1 truck, could be 10 trucks, could be...
And it could be different sizes of trucks too. So there are a lot of different questions there. I was unaware that he was using 2 different trucks. If he's only got 2 accounts here in town, that he had 2 different trucks either. So that was a surprise to me tonight. I hadn't had that amount of conversation with him, but and I do not know how many different trucks that RAD uses in town as well. So
I'm not saying let's not collect money. I'm not saying that at all.
And this has to be done by February 1st?
Let's let everybody finish before we, yeah. Go ahead.
We need to charge something. There's no question about that. I mean, for the roads and everything else. But we need to make it fair across the board that somebody that's coming in, whether it be Arizona City or somebody that might just be starting up a business, that he's on the same playing field as somebody that's been in business 20 years and is funding a golf tournament that, you just run the little guys out of business. That's my only point, and I'm going to shut up for the rest of the night.
You'd prefer to see something like up to 5 customers, $500, up to 10 customers, 1,000, anything over 10, 1,500? Is that what you prefer?
It seems like it'd be pretty easy to me.
As long as they should give proof of their actual customers, not just give us their word.
Well, that would be fair, but now we have a process. And Rob, go ahead, because he's been trying to talk for a
I'm
while.
sorry, Rob.
Go ahead.
I was just, anything we can do to encourage the small businesses, we want to do it. And I hate to put more work on staff. You guys are doing a great job. I know it's not easy, but this is what we're here for. We want to encourage small businesses. Mm-hmm. And so ahead of time, I think everybody up here pretty much feels the same way. We want to do what we can to make it easy for them. And if we can put a percentage on the end after instead of up front loaded, that would certainly seem to help. Or even what you're talking about, Dennis, but I know that you guys do a great job and you're smart. You'll be able to figure something out to be able to pave a way for most small businesses.
So
we could modify this fee schedule. I mean, if you'd prefer to do something like that. I mean, obviously we're going to have to listen to them, and if they come in for their application and say, well, I only got 4 customers, we'd say, well, then the permit fee's $500. But then, they're not coming back for another permit, another 12 months. So in that 12 months, they might go out from 4 customers to 12 customers, but we know we'll catch them on the next year.
So this is renewed annually?
It's renewed annually.
Okay, and
annually they're required to give us their listing of customers. They're also required to, when they pick up a new customer, to advise us. So that is, how we're going to regulate that, I guess, is still a question, but that is something that is in there and something that we are administering.
Okay, now that seems like, from listening to the conversation, that seems multi-tiered, based on the amount of customers, seems like it was something that probably everybody could possibly agree with based on the conversations I've heard. Now is the process, without going back out.
We're fine with the process. The fees are, if you follow the recommendations of up to 5, and it would be $500 for the annual fee, up to 10, 1,000 for the annual fee, and 10 or greater, 1,500. That falls well within the guidelines of the highest fees that we posted, the potential. So we are fine with that.
You just said.
Okay, so
I stole that from Mr. Fitzgibbons.
We can do that right now
I'll give him
without
credit.
going and posting it again.
Correct. We're fine, Mayor.
Okay.
Oh, I
in
guess
that-
I should let you
In
say.
that case,
So can we say that again so we can make a motion?
this is a resolution, so yeah, give us something legal, Dennis, so we.
No,
tell us what it was
I
again, so we
wrote
can
it down,
make
that
the
type of
proper
thing.
motion.
So the application fee would remain at $300. Then, depending upon the volume that the hauler is using, up to 5 accounts in the city of Coolidge would be only a $500 annual fee. From 6 accounts to 10 accounts, it would be $1,000 as the annual fee. 10 accounts or greater, it would be $1,500 as the annual fee. So
Can
again,
it not be 6 to 10 and 10 or greater? Isn't it greater than 10?
I'm sorry, greater than 10 would be that last 1,500.
Sorry.
Thank you.
And that's-
No, no,
you
that's
said it.
okay.
Renewed annually, so we can change it next year if things.
If it doesn't work.
If it doesn't work and we post 60 days before you increase a fee, we could change it.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
I was going to make a motion.
Oh, okay.
See
Then
how
go
smart
ahead.
you all are figuring these things out?
All right, go ahead.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the adjusted, which would be what was read, the $300 application fee, the 5 customers or less, 500, 6 to 10, 1,000, and anything greater than 10, $1,500 for fee for this. That's my motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a
Who's the
second.
second?
Pick your second. There
Rob?
was 2 or 3 of them.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, it's a resolution.
Yep. Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susanna.
Thank you.
Item number 15, consider approval of the claims for the month of December 2015. Does anybody have any questions on any of those? If not, I would look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we'll go to report from the mayor and council. This time, we'll start down with Councilmember Murrieta.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lewis?
Oh, boy. I can't remember, so I'll just pass.
I attended the Pinal County Credit Union grand opening ribbon cutting Friday, and they really did a lot to that building. It really is so much. It's bigger and it's just, I think, friendlier. I mean, you know, for the customers that goes in. So I think that's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, thank you. Just watching the legislative updates and the call notes, and so far, as we talked about budget, the governor hasn't proposed changing her for the state shared revenue. There is a bill out there, as we talked about, that would get rid of rentals, HB 2026. So we're watching that real closely. It hasn't been scheduled yet for anything. Also, there is a bill that we're supporting as a league, HB 2107, which is registering sober living houses, which are actually group homes that these businesses put a lot of people that have issues, and they're having a lot of problems in Prescott, and they're just all over the place, and there's no registering them, and neighbors are complaining and all kinds of. So that's out there, and we're supporting that. And then tomorrow also, I'm at 11 o'clock. I'm going to be on the budget subcommittee for the League of Cities and Towns. I'm on that. I've been on there for about four years or so, and we'll be looking at the bills and charges for the upcoming budget for the league. So I'll try to keep us the same, or without hurting us too bad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, I also attended the grand opening for Pinal County Federal Credit Union, and it's a beautiful building. It's amazing how many people are starting to talk about Napa, about McDonald's, and about Pinal County Credit Union. That had Bob Pittman, who is a longtime resident here and was part of the Mahoney Agency. He thought Coolidge was kind of dying by the wayside, and he drove through town. And he said, "Man, things are starting to happen around here." So it's good to hear that. And I want to thank Susanna and the Public Works Department on a great job on Northern. I mean, I like driving down that road because it's the nicest road in town right now. Oh, I do. 25. But you did a great job, and all the hard work with the rain and everything, you guys did a fantastic job.
It's beautiful.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Absolutely. Great job on the streets. Agreed. Very much so.
Okay. Jill?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to remind you of some upcoming meetings, or one meeting that will not be held. The CEDC meeting scheduled for tomorrow has been canceled, so please put the meeting at the calendar. The last week of February, the last Tuesday of February should be the next CEDC meeting. Mayor, we have a CAG regional meeting in AJ on Wednesday evening if you're ready for that trip. The Youth Council will meet on February 2nd at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers. On February 6th, we do have an airport fly-in. Encourage you to attend. And the same morning, Banner Casa Grande will be having a 5K and half marathon at CAC. So they'll be out in that area. I did not pay attention. I'm not running. So, I can get it to you, Dennis, if you want to run the marathon.
Just kidding.
Jill, just one other thing, the breakfast with the mayor on the 4th.
Yes, I'm sorry. The breakfast with the mayor on the 4th is an item that the chamber has scheduled. The work continues on Central Avenue, as everyone has seen, so we are trying to coordinate better communication with the contractor and ADOT. We've had some issues that Suzanne has been working on, so if you do have a business and you are concerned about work on Central Avenue, please feel free to contact myself or Susanna Struble or any of the council members. I want to throw my kudos out there on Northern Avenue as well. Our public works crew did a fantastic job on that road, and we really want to commend because their work was phenomenal. And I know they're still doing some work out there. As you heard from this evening, all departments are starting the process of preparing our preliminary budgets, so we'll get that information to you, and we are excited to look at some new opportunities on budgeting to move forward. And just to close things out, I did speak with Mr. Flatley today. He was at a doctor's appointment, so he sends his best, and he can't wait till he gets back to work, but he is following doctor's orders and doing what's necessary at this time. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jill. Well, I was at the ribbon cuttings, and I did attend the MLK Day event, which was a pretty good turnout, 100, 200 people. There have been a number of other meetings to try to bring businesses into Coolidge with different companies, and I can't really go into a lot of that detail at this point in time because it's just conversation. And at this point, I would like to say, though, echo what the council members have said, and Joe. Very happy with Northern Avenue. More importantly, the citizens over there are very happy with it, although it's not completed yet, as we know. But it was an excellent job. I think we've got a few more. The sidewalk that will come in eventually on Palo Verde and 4th will be good for the area, this area over here. And I believe one day we're going to start on 8th Place and that outfit. So I do think we have some road projects that are budgeted for, and I can say Susanna and I attend the Sun Corridor MPO meetings, and we're in the process of trying to locate money for Main Street rehab. So that'll be an interesting experience, but we'll see what we can do. So other than that, I think everything's going fairly well. Nobody else has anything. I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.